Oops, something is wrong. Give me a second, everyone. Hey, everyone. How's it going, right? Thanks for being here. We got some people on the stream already. Awesome. Okay, so this interview has been it's a little bit late. I think we are like 5 hours, more than 5 hours late, right? Because there were some issues that was happening, so we had to reschedule. So thanks everyone for being here today on Decisive Talks. I'm Henry Ho, and I'm an entrepreneur, digital marketer, and most importantly, a software enthusiast. And today I have Anan Batra here. He's the founder of Listnr. So personally, I've used Listnr, and I think it's awesome, right? I know that a lot of people are saying that there's some controversies that's happening with Listnr, and hopefully we can address that as well. So personally, I use Listnr for the for converting your your blog posts into audios. You can actually publish them as a podcast. Personally, I've not done the podcasting feature yet. So Listener is a text to speech tool that helps you to convert your blog posts into audio listenable format so that you can actually allow your readers to listen instead of reading, right? And that kind of helps you. If some of you are into SEO, it helps to keep your visitors on site much longer as well. And you can also use it as a productivity tool. So Listener has a Chrome extension that works for a lot of blogs and news sites that you can actually convert those those articles into an audio as well, so that you can actually listen them. So while you are listening to the news, you can be doing something else as well, right? And of course, the last one would be the podcasting features, right? So I'm so excited to have Anan here, right, to share about his background. So let me just bring him on.
Yeah.
Hey Anan,
Hey,
how is it
Andrew.
going?
All good, all good. How about you?
Awesome, right? It's a tiring day for me because I couldn't sleep at all last night. Right,
Okay.
so I actually slept in a day. Uh, so for some of you who don't know, I'm actually in Singapore, and so I couldn't sleep last night, so I was just up last night working, and I slept the whole afternoon instead. Right. So Anand, tell us about yourself. Where you're from, how did you get into entrepreneurship, and what did you see or experience, right, that made you jump into the SaaS business?
Gotcha. So basically, I'm from India. I'm a recent computer science graduate, and I used to live in Toronto before this, but I moved back to India. And initially, I'll tell you how. So, Listener is basically my first go at entrepreneurship, and I started Listener back when I wanted to start my own first podcast. And I went online, I looked for solutions, and I found Anchor, which is like the most popular solution, right? So a lot of people would use Anchor, and Anchor was apparently bought by Spotify a few years back. So I thought, okay, this would be cool, right? So I went ahead to Anchor, and I tried recording a podcast. I tried making a podcast, but the output wasn't really great, right? You couldn't really do a lot of things with Anchor. All you can do is record, and you can add intro music and outro music. That's about it. So I feel like there was a need for a solution that would let you record and edit, so sort of like Descript, and also host and distribute and monetize your podcast. So that's like the end goal, where we want to create like a one-stop shop for all the features that I just talked about right now, which I think no solution at the moment does. So I think, as you said, I wouldn't consider myself as a TTS company. I would uh, consider Listener as a podcasting company rather than a TTS company.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we can see that you are moving listener into the podcasting area. But could you also share with us, right? Like, why did you wanted to start your podcast, right? What were you planning to share with with the world, right? With your podcast.
I wanted to share things about SaaS, so software as a service. That was like the main intention. Interview founders who have reached like the $1 million annual recurring revenue, that stage, and people who are towards that annual recurring revenue, the $1 million mark. So I wanted to interview them and share their learnings, how they reached the $1 million revenue mark, and mostly bootstrap founders. So that was like my area of interest. How does one reach that mark without any external funding? So that's why I wanted to start a podcast. We actually have around eight episodes which have already been recorded, but they haven't been released yet. We're waiting for the right moment to release them.
I see. It sounds awesome, right? So, entrepreneurship is not easy, whether it's, starting a simple blog or simple, start a podcast or even start a SaaS business like yourself, right? Every entrepreneur faces challenges. So, could you share, what were some of the lowest point of your life while we are on this journey?
Yeah, definitely. So I think this was initially when we launched. We decided to launch on PitchGround, and this was back in September 2020. And I think we should have waited 2 months before we launched because the product had so many bugs. I'm not gonna lie, it had way too many bugs. And this was when we launched. I think we should have halted the launch or paused the launch because uh, when we launched on PitchGround, a lot of people had already started using the product, and we couldn't really roll it back, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So we had to fix all the bugs while it was live and while people were using it. So it was like doing two things at once. That was, I think, probably the lowest point and the hardest problem that I had to solve. That was.
So you face a lot of criticism from the community during that point of time?
Yeah, I would say a decent amount, the perfect amount that we needed to get motivated and fix those bugs. I think that was a good thing. Besides that, there were also a lot of nice people who kept believe in us, and they were like, "Okay, I think we believe that you will be able to fix these bugs," and we did. We did make the platform a lot better in the next few months, and those people are still around with us. So PJ Armstrong, he was the earliest believers for us. And yeah, he still uses Listener, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that he's always cheering for you, right? And I,
Yeah.
I recently just I was making use of Listnr recently as well. I can see the dashboard and everything. It's so much faster and it's so much more pleasing to the eyes and creating a voiceover, right? So much smoother than before, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Before that, when you click stuff, some some things seems a little off, right? But I'm glad that some of these issues has been sorted out, right? And I'm really happy because I'm also an agency plan owner of your of listener, right?
Okay.
So it's the as your tool gets better, the more it helps me as well, and that's why if you see me in the community, I'm always giving feedbacks, right? Always giving feedbacks,
Yeah.
not just for listener but every single SaaS because I review them, I test them out every single one, and I just give my feedbacks you know, and I'm always trying to make integrations happen, so that it helps me, right? And it's not just for myself, but it's for you guys to improve, so that when your product improves, it's easier for you to get more customers, and also with what do you call it with the community as well. Those who also own the LTVs, they also get to benefit from that as well, right? So
Yeah.
so the name listener, right? How why did you choose this name, right? Is there any meaning behind it? I know, of course, it has to do with listener, right? But
Yeah.
why do you choose this name, right? Do you have any other options before you actually uh, make a decision to go with listener?
I think we so anyone who creates content using Listener, their audience listens to it. I mean, it's audio, right? So that's why it was pretty simple in my head, why we wanted to keep it Listener, and it's just super simple. We didn't want to call it like Adilo or Wagyu TV or something like that. I think I mean, not saying those are bad names or anything, but we wanted to keep it simple. That's why.
Awesome, right? So, um, could you then share with us, right, where you think listener actually stands out from your competitors? Because we are seeing so many. I mean, it started. I think this year that we are seeing a lot of text to speech tools that are coming, and also there was previously one which was called Build Bubbles, right? That actually failed quite recently. So, how do you think you can stand out from your competitors? Because even some AppSumo select deals that happened last year are also failing this year, right? And there are so many we call code canyon scripts that are coming up, and and I'm having a hard time also trying to explain to people, right, why they should actually be looking at tools that are actually built from scratch rather than picking a code script which normally does have a better limit to it, right? So how do you think you can compete in this niche where it's highly competitive in, there are, for example, right now on Lifetime Deal, you have a competitor who has their own voice libraries. And, with Listener and, a previous one also, you guys are using, Google, Amazon, IBM voices. So how do you think you can compete in this niche?
So right off the bat, I think the initial goal here is not to become a TTS company, and we were never, that was never the target. Even when I started back in March 2020, the goal was never to become a TTS company, and we offer TTS just as a way for a user to start a podcast. Now, over the months since we've been building out Listener, we learned this, that nobody likes TTS podcasts. Like people, anyone who creates their own podcast, they like to have their own voice in the podcast, so their own tone, their own emphasis, their own modality, their own speaking style, right? That cannot be replicated by TTS yet, and I think it's still going to take a few years uh, for us to have that voice cloning up to that level, where anyone who creates a podcast using voice cloning, it's perfect match to match to their real voice. I think we're still far away from that point. Now, in terms of the Code Canyon scripts and all that, I think I think this has already been made clear previously as well, where these Code Canyon scripts don't really have a future direction. Founders of these, I wouldn't even call them founders, but people who release these Code Canyon scripts on AppSumo Marketplace, they haven't really coded them from scratch. So you can't really, first of all, you can't define the quality, because all of them are the same. So I think Blakeify or something like that, that's like the most popular one, if I recall correctly. And I think, as I said earlier, our goal is to become a podcasting company, not a TDS company. So, what we're doing here, in order to differentiate out of the competition, is that we're trying to make podcasting easier rather than becoming the best at TTS, because it's a, as you said, it's a highly competitive space, and there's a lot of PhDs and a lot of people who are a lot more equipped to deal with the TTS space. I think it would be better if they focus on TTS. We are more comfortable with podcasting, so we'll be adding the recording feature onto Listener, where you can directly record your podcast using Listener. You don't even have to leave it, so you don't have to go to Zoom or Meets or any other video or audio calling platform. You can directly invite your guests inside Listener, record it. You can edit it like Descript. So what you have to do is you can edit the text, and it's going to edit the audio.
Oh,
That's
I see. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like pick tree, right? Like where you actually put in a video. I mean, for pick tree, you put in a video and you can actually edit the video based on the transcription, like some kind
Oh
of
wow.
transcription editing for the videos, right? So you're actually planning to do something like that for audio?
Yeah, exactly. So if you've heard about Descript, so what they do is you give them a recorded audio, and they convert that audio into text, and then you enter the text, you edit the text, and then they edit the audio. So basically, we will be releasing this in the next 2 3 months, hopefully 2 months. We're going to release it as soon as possible, where users will be able to edit their audio using text. So that's number one. Number two is adding all sorts of music. So we recently partnered with Melody Music, where users can will have access to more than 40,000 royalty-free tracks. So this can be used for intro music, outro music, background music, stuff like that for your podcast. And moreover, monetization. So nobody's doing this yet. Uh, and Anchor, for example, if you like, you're in Singapore, I'm in India, and if I wanted to create my own podcast using Anchor, I won't be able to monetize it. So I have to be in the US in order for me to monetize the podcast. But since we're not there, what we're doing is we have some certain integrations in place where you can even be in any country in the world. You can be in Bangladesh, Nigeria, you can be in Kenya, you can be in India, and you would still be able to monetize your podcast. So that's the third biggest change that we'll have.
Awesome, right? I'm really excited about some of these features that you have. Personally, for me, right, I believe in repurposing my content, right? So what I feel is, when I do like interviews like this, is there a way for me to easily convert that into a podcast and have it published?
Yeah.
Is there a way that I
Um,
can get, let's say, from a YouTube video, it goes into Listener and it is published as a podcast?
Yeah. So what you could do is you could either ideally record it inside Listener. So instead of using Restream, you could just go to Listener and then invite your guests over there and record it and then directly upload it to Spotify. I mean, you upload it to Listener, we distribute it to Spotify. That's what happens. You could either do that, or if you want to use Restream, you can record it somehow, this audio that we're talking right now, and you could upload it on Listener. We'll distribute it to Spotify. That's what you can do right now. But in the future, we want to have like a full packed solution where we'll have audio and video capabilities, and you can
Yes.
like literally host and record your entire podcast inside Listener, and then directly edit it, and then directly uh, put it on Spotify.
Yeah, I was thinking like if you can have like you can add the API as well, where I can have a video and it's already recorded, and it's up on YouTube, and we can actually automatically send that into Listener and convert it to a podcast and publish. Would that be possible in the future?
Yeah, I think it should be easily doable, to be honest. So if you give us a link, right? Let's say it's already on YouTube. You give us the YouTube link, we extract the audio, and then we put it to Spotify. That can be easily done.
Awesome, awesome. And when will we be able to see these features available?
Definitely after the app Sumo launch. So in 2 months, you can expect those, 2 to 3 months. Um, yeah, so I'm pretty active in terms of the communication, uh, and yeah. So I whenever these features are out, right? So I'll probably post it on the group. You and Ken will probably be the first people to know about it when they release. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I am definitely excited to see these coming to Listener, right? And how about the transcription editing features?
The transcription editing feature, it's right now it's in development, so we haven't released it, so any sort of a beta version yet. But we do want to release a beta version in the next 2 months or even sooner. So I think that should also take around 2 months. In my opinion.
I see. Well, these are really exciting features, right? I'm glad that I got in early with the agency plan as well, right? So some of you who are not listening to this right now, I think a podcast could be a way for you to amplify your audience as well. So be sure to check it out. And would that be a way for us to because you mentioned about monetizing, right? So what are you going to do? Like, is it something like Spotify where you insert an ad in between?
Okay, so it's a little different actually. Let's assume you have a podcast, right? And that podcast has 10,000 listeners each month. Now, what you can do is you can offer something like a premium content where you gate some content for certain premium users. And those premium users, they have to pay you something like $2 a month or $5 a month. So, in order to access that premium content, it's sort of like a mini SaaS inside a SaaS. So let's assume even out of those 10,000 users, that people that listen to you, even 10% convert. That's like 1,000 people who pay for premium content for you, right?
Kind of like you are like a Twitch streamer, and then people pay for the Twitch Prime membership, something like that,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Or
exactly,
like yeah,
exactly.
on Amazon, you can be a free buyer, right? You don't have a Prime account, but if you upgrade to Prime, you pay a monthly fee, but you waive that shipping fee that you get, something like that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But with Listener, of course, you get access to the premium content, right? I One thing that I feel right is that personally, I don't really see much value when it comes to monetizing, putting some of the content as a paid access content, right? But would there be a way that we can also maybe easily insert some advertisements in there into the podcast? Like we can, pause the podcast, play something, play an advertisement in between, and have it go back into the podcast, something like that. I was
Yeah.
thinking, something like Spotify, but in my case, it will be something like I want to mention a link for people to visit, right? So probably
Mhm.
like somewhere in the podcast when it stops, I would mention, hey guys, go and check out this link, right? And then I will read out the link itself, and then people can type on their phone or something and they can access that link. I was
Mhm.
thinking about something like this, in this
Got it.
lines, right? I mean, these are just some ideas that I have, right? So, could you share with us? What do you see in the future of Listener, and what excites you the most? Where it is heading?
Yeah. So I would say the audio editing feature using text. That's the most exciting one in my opinion, and that's also super exciting for me because I plan on using it as well, regularly. So I think that's part one. Part two, have you? So like I was thinking about what you just said, and we could do something like a marketplace where a podcaster could meet a sponsor, and for example, you get a sponsor for a podcast. You could say something about the sponsor, and they would ideally pay you on Listener. So it's sort of like a partnership, marketplace sort of platform. I think that's also a possibility in the future. If a lot of people request it and people want it, we'll definitely make it. That's one
Yeah,
option.
something like like how YouTube does it, right? So before you watch the video, that there will be a pre-roll ad that comes in for a couple of seconds, and you got to wait for a couple of seconds before they skip it. So I think that maybe like that could be possible with Listener as well, right? So could you share about your team then? Like how many developers, customer support, designers do you have, or do you work alone? Right? If you have a team, how are they like? Do they keep you motivated? Any fun activities that you do in your company as well to retain your employees? Could you share about that?
Yeah, sure. So we're a team of eight right now, including me, and the core team members is me and Matthias. Matthias is a CTO, so he takes over all the technical stuff, the product development, and besides that, we have five developers. These are junior interns, associate developers on that level. Um, so we take care of the product development and the vision of the product. Where how do we want to develop a certain feature, and what is it going to look like, and when do we actually release it, that sort of a thing. Then besides that, we have a content writer and a design intern as well, where we decide what sort of content we want to release, right? Now we haven't released our podcast yet, but we'll release it soon, during the end of the AppSumo launch. And yeah, so I think that's roughly about the team.
Awesome, right? I think that's quite a full-fledged team. When I got to know you at the time, I think you were working alone. Is that it? Right?
I think until 4 or 5 months ago, I was just me and another guy. Now we're a team of eight. So
Yeah, I think
we
that's
recently expanded.
a tremendous growth in your business. That you have a team to help you. That's why I think this is why we are seeing a little bit more updates, more frequent updates that's coming as well, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you also have a content creator on your team to help you to market the Listener as well. I think that one of the biggest problems with um, a lot of SaaS is that it's always started by a developer. is always created by the developer, and they really lack the marketing skills. They
Yeah.
really lack the marketing skills, and but when we come across a marketer who jumps into the SaaS business, right, and we start to see some really interesting stuff that's going on. For example, like PageMaker and Upticks, right? So these are some of the two that they seem to be going places as well, right? So, what are some challenges or big hurdles that your company is occupied with currently?
I would say we want to hire more developers, but the problem here is, developers are getting super expensive to hire, and finding quality developers is super super hard. So we're on the look for like three or four more developers, but the kind of the quality of the developers that we're seeing right now, it's very average. So I mean, if you have any leads for us, that would be great. Uh, but yeah, that's like the biggest problem that we have right now because we want
You
to
can
roll out
you can ask
certain features.
Venki. I think Venki can help you out, right? Venki, I'm not sure if he's still on the stream. I think Venki runs some kind of recruitment business that has to do with technical developers and coders. So I'm sure Venki can help you out over there, right? And
Definitely.
he is very active in the chat right now. So how do you feel about launching a lifetime deal so far?
So the AppSumo deal, the one that we launched yesterday, I think it's going pretty well, in my opinion, and we're seeing good response from the AppSumo community and also the LTD community. And I mean, a lot of the people have already bought Listnr from the previous lifetime deals, so the groups have sort of been exhausted, but we're still seeing a good amount of sales coming in and a lot of good feedback as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? I think one thing about Listener is that I mean you guys have been on lifetime deal since last year, right?
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
on this ground, and then you were on AppSumo, and
Mhm.
you went on to Dealify, and I think Dealmirror as well, and then
Yeah.
you came back on AppSumo Marketplace, and now you are on AppSumo Select, right? So one
Yeah.
question is this, right? Because you guys have been on LTV for some time right now, and would it be possible, right? That I mean, would you still be running any more LTVs after this,
No.
or
No.
so AppSumo Select would be the last stop, right?
Yeah, exactly. So our goal with the LTD was that we want to get up to 15,000 users. We're near that mark. We've crossed 50% of it. As soon as we reach the 15,000 user mark, we're going to close off the LTD. That's like the final goal that we have. Then we'll focus completely on MRR. We do have MRR right now. Even we have some MRR, but it's not what I want it to be. We want it to be at least we want to reach at least $1 million in annual recurring revenue in the next 1 year or 2 years.
Awesome, right? So, I mean, I'm not against lifetime deals at all. I think there are some tools. In fact, there are some great tools that are kind of permanently on LTDs as well. So
Yeah.
I think that some people in the community do have some wrong perception about LTDs that if a tool is always on LTD, it is it is not going to work out. I personally don't think so. It's only when they stop marketing, right? There are so many people in the world, right? We are talking about billions of people in the world, and if you just run LTDs, I'm sure you can go on for quite a while as well, right? So I personally don't feel that way. But of course, if you want to make more money, then the way to go about it is to go with MRR customers because you got you got more stable cash flow that is coming in, so it's easier for you to plan how your business is going to grow, right? With what whether you're going to continue to develop certain areas, right? So I think that is really important. But I think LTV is great for getting a big cash injection in the first place, so that you can develop your team, you can develop your tools, you can build your initial marketing budget so that you can go for the MRR customers, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the LTD community so far? because we've seen some controversies that's has been happening, and it's I don't think it's the first time, right? I mean, it happened a couple of months ago while you're still on the Absolute Marketplace. So in fact, I think Venki, right? So Venki's one of the admins from one of the groups that seem to be quite critical about listener as well, right? So could you share, how do you feel about the LTD community, and how are you managing all these different responses? There are really, great responses coming, but some are lukewarm, some seem to be leaning towards the critical side of it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll be honest. Initially, when we launched, uh, so being completely frank, right now, our product was shit when we launched back in September 2020. Right now, I wouldn't say that. So people who are jumping on the listener bandwagon right now, I think those people uh, are and they have a lot more good things to say about us. But besides that, the LTD community, we've seen a lot of good response as well. We've seen some very nice people. We've seen you, Ken, and we've seen PJ. We've seen so many other people. That's one. The number two. So there's like the 5% people in the LTD community that are super critical. They're super harsh with the words, but I feel like it's okay. Everybody has their days. We don't really take it personally. But yeah, I think the LTD community is cool. I mean, we got a lot of feedback from the LTD community, which has been crucial in development of the product.
Yeah, I think because of course you are a really young founder. I mean I'm a couple of years older than you, and but what I could say is that been in business for about 10 years right now, right? And is that you don't want? I mean, you got to take these criticism in the right manner. If it's outright insulting, of course I believe you got to stand up for yourself, right? I mean, some of you who are watching this right now probably have seen some of my standing up to people, right? So I definitely believe that you should stand up to people who just kind of insults you, but
Yeah,
some of them they just have a different opinion, and don't take it, don't feel like you are being challenged, right? And just I would say respond in a in the right manner. That would be great, and I'm
yeah,
sure a lot of people love you even more based by seeing your conduct. To be honest, if you are a huge company, right, no one cares, right? You can be a huge dick, and no one. People will still be paying for you every single month if you got paid too, right?
yeah,
But when you are still on LTD, I think sometimes you got to play nice as well.
yeah,
Um, I hate to say this, but if you see me in the community, and when sometimes I'm saying some really nice stuff about some people, it's not that I really truly like them, or love them, or whatever it is, but it is important to build some relationships, because sometimes these people, they do have better network or resources that you can tap on, right? And it doesn't make sense to go around and burn bridges unless you know that you're never going to walk back that through that bridge, right? Then you can do,
yeah,
then you can feel free to do so, right? That's how I feel about some people around the community, right? So so talking about some of the you know uh, controversy as well, right? I think yesterday, there was an incident. Do you think that the particular person, I mean, not just him, but some of the different, like, let me rephrase this question, right? But there are some critical comments that has been going around since your Absolute Marketplace deal, and right now on the Absolute Select deal as well, right? So people say that Listener is hyped, right? And people say that there's no use cases. Uh, no use cases is hyped. I'm not impressed. So these are some of the ones that we have heard in the community. So could you maybe like address them as well? Like, what would you say to these people? Uh, you know, to kind of defend yourself, to share that actually you guys should take a closer look at Listener because we are building something really awesome. And of course, when you were on the Absolute Marketplace previously and right now on the Absolute Select, I can already see some, I would say, quite a major improvement in the your dashboard and the entire experience. This is definitely less buggy. It's more smooth right now. So could you share, like, would you want to tell us about the listener how you would respond to people who say, "I'm not impressed. There's no use cases." And whatever it is, there are better tools. Like your competitor is better. What would you say to these people?
Well, I would initially say that if you're a podcaster, I think Listener is the tool to be, right? So even if you're not impressed right now, give me 2 months, I bet that you'll be impressed, right? That's number one. Number two, for people who compare us to other GTS tools, I would say don't do that because it's apples and oranges. There's literally no comparison in us versus what you could say Lovo or Blakeify or something like that, some other tool, right? So there's sort of no comparison because it's apples and oranges. We're a podcasting tool, they're a TTS tool. That's one thing, and a lot of people have not currently in. That's what I think. People think of us as a TTS tool, but we're not. We're not aiming to be, and we are not going to be a TTS tool. We want to be a podcasting tool. That's as simple as that. So if you're a podcaster, we do everything that Anchor does at the moment. We host your podcast, we distribute it. That's what Anchor does as well. We have the recording feature coming in soon, which is going to simplify your workflow even further. So, for example, by the way, I'd really like to have a podcast with you, Henry. So we could maybe after this, let's set up a time for a podcast. But
Yeah,
yeah, so we
definitely.
could we could record a podcast inside Listener. You could edit it and then you could host it and distribute it on Spotify and iTunes. So I mean, at the moment, I'm not sure. So for the people who are not impressed by Listener, tell me what you're not impressed by. I'll improve it. So that's the kind of mindset that I have. I have more of a growth mindset rather than I wouldn't defend myself. So if something is shit, it's shit. Like I'll improve it. That's what my response is.
Awesome, right? So maybe just to kind of rephrase everything what Anand just said, right? So Anand, Listener is actually created. It has a TDS feature when you first started. It is so that people can easily create a podcast. But your focus is not really on TTS, but on podcasting, the podcasting features where you can, create your own podcast easily, edit them, distribute them. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
correct.
So this is something for those of you who are currently on the stream right now and watching this, and of course those of them who are actually, those of you who are actually watching the recording as well. Is take note of this is that the biggest focus of Listener is more on the podcasting features, and TDS is just like in the a convenience kind of feature to make everything flow better, right? So TDS,
Yeah,
Corey is asking what is TDS. TDS is text to speech. So when you type in a sentence, it converts into audio for you. It reads it out for you, right? So that's called text to speech. Okay, so those of you who are watching, just take note. Because I guess in the future, where listeners moving towards is more on the podcasting side. Yeah. So personally, I do have one feature request as well. Is when would the voice cloning service be ready?
the voice cloning, you mean?
Yes.
The voice cloning. Okay, so right now I'll tell you where we're at, and I'll realistically tell you how long it's going to take. So right now we're training a lot of data, so a lot of voice data, in order to pick up the sentences that you say. So basically, what happens is, I'm not going to try to get too technical, but anytime that you want to clone your voice, right now it takes 2 hours of voice data. So it's almost like we give you like a paragraph to read, and you read it in your own voice, and then we train the AI on that. Now, 2 hours is a long time. I think a lot of users would not be open to giving us 2 hours of data, just sitting in front of the screen and reading something for 2 hours. I think that's super inconvenient. And in order for us to improve this, to make the 2 hours into 10 minutes or even less, I think it would take us at least 3 to 4 months. Could be even more. So I'm completely not sure because we're building things from scratch because there's no such API or anything that we can go towards. And you know it's just a hard problem to solve on our end, and I think for anyone, because there's a lot of bottlenecks. So a lot of the times you don't get a lot of voice data from a lot of people. So that's one of the bottleneck. And for certain accents, you might the voice data or the AI engine may not be able to detect that voice accent. So these are some of the problems that we have right now in the moment. I'm completely being honest, and it could take us around, I could say, 3 to 4 months easily
I
to
see, I
achieve this.
see. In fact, Corey right here, right? He has a few questions. Is that are you looking for people to do the voice data? Right? I'm sure Corey is a volunteer here. Like you can grab him anytime, right? Because Corey's problem, right? Because sometimes because Corey speaks to me quite often is that he has a problem where a lot of TTS tools don't actually have African American voices, which is his question here, right? And he's actually asking, do you have African American voices right now as well?
We don't have African American voices. We do have African voices.
Yeah,
We have Swahili. We have another voice which I'm forgetting the name. But see, some of these voices are bilingual. So even if you were to enter English text, they would speak in English, but it would be like a Swahili accent. So that would be like the change. So if that works for you, that's cool. But yeah, we're looking to adding African American voices.
yeah. So, Corey, so what they have is the African voices, but you can use, the African voices. It doesn't have to be spoken in that language. You can put in English. It will be speaking in that accent. But of course, the African accent is different from the African American accent, right? So maybe hopefully you can provide something for Corey in some way as well, because Corey himself has tested out many different text to speech tools, and I would think that none of them have African American voices, right? So Corey is asking, how can one sign up to assist you, right? Should you, do you want to give your email and maybe he could help you out, or maybe you want to wait till
Yeah.
you are ready for someone to test it out?
Yeah, just DM me, man. My DMs are always open. We can take it from there.
Yeah, so Corey, I guess what you can do is maybe send an email to Anan, right? In fact, Corey is saying that he can get you some people to help you, right? Because I guess because he has a community of YouTubers, and I guess they are also looking for TTS features, and he has a, African American community that of YouTubers, so I'm sure you can find a lot of people to help you out on that, right? So I guess that's the beauty about being in the LTD community. Got a lot of people wanting to help you out, right?
Yeah.
Even when you are not ready to get people to help you, people are already standing in front of the door knocking on it, right? So lastly, I just want to ask some questions here, and this is a little bit difficult question, right? Is that we understand that every startup founder would love to have a glorious exit, but many of them have left lifetime license owners stranded and abandoned. Okay, such as PySync, Headline. So while some startups fail and not able to keep up with maintaining the services, which we understand, right? Because they run out of money already, right? So those who actually succeed seem to abandon their early supporters as well, who funded them their marketing and development budget in the first place, right? So what is your perspective on this? And would you be putting down any condition if, let's say, listener were to get acquired that lifetime license owners are somehow protected or compensated for their efforts and investment as well, right? If so, what would they be?
Yeah. So right off the bat, we don't want to get it acquired. I mean, we did get a few acquisition offers a few months ago, but we turned them down. So acquisition is not really why I'm doing this and why I spent so much time and money to build this product. And essentially, if let's assume there's a scenario like in a year someone offers me like $100 million to acquire Listener, and that's something that is very stern in my head, that I won't be selling out the LTD users. That's number one, because I've heard a lot of bad stories. So the founder headline, for example, I think the LTD users don't have the LTD anymore, something like that. Right.
They do have, it's just that the tool is no longer being updated.
Ah, okay, got it. Yeah, but that's not the case with us, because I mean, even if you were to see my past communications, even right now, the latest LTD, for example, it's a $79 LTD, and our previous LTD was a $69 LTD, and all the users who bought the LTD previously, it doesn't matter if it was from the marketplace or PitchGround or Dealify, they've been upgraded for free. So we do respect the early supporters that we have, and we won't be sort of leaving them out if something was to happen in the future.
Yeah, that's very nice of you, right, Anan? I think that's a great way, because I think that there aren't many, TDS tools and of course podcasting tools that are really mature yet. And I think that if you put your head down, I think you can definitely succeed in this area, right? And selling off is kind of, I feel that sometimes when you sell off your company, uh, before you even achieve what you want, then I kind of feel like there is a market gap, right? It causes a market gap. Whether even if you're purely non LTD, that means you don't have any LTD customers, you only have MRR customers, and you build a great tool. But before you even get there, you sell off, and maybe the company that bought you over wants to sort of keep the infrastructure private or whatever it is, and a lot of people actually miss out on being able to have a great tool that is out there that they can make use of, right? And that's the biggest issue that I have with some of these tools here that I mentioned, which is PySync and Headline, right? Is that because there isn't any tool that just purely does syncing of context, right? Or the CRM context. There isn't anything that does that. That's out on the market. There are some right now, because I guess they are trying to fill the gap that pricing has left, and also for Headline, right? Because Headline is so great for actually building like a website. Get your website copy up. Headline is great for that, because they don't just have AI stuff, but they also have what do you call that? Some templates, like great templates they can reference with. So that's the biggest problem, is that because there is a market gap right now that no one is actually filling it up. Everyone who is in the AI writing is focused on long form, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
Right? I'm sure you're hearing about that as well. And then no one is actually filling this gap, which I find is is causing a lot of trouble, even if they are a MRR company itself, right?
Mhm.
So lastly would be uh, you know, we have some questions here. Is Corey has a comment here that says, "Meeting you in the SaaS community on Henry's live makes me feel like you care about the product and want to enhance it." Right. So this is important in my buying decision. Of course, Corey, right? The thing is this: I have limited hours a week, right? And of course, I'm not able to bring all founders that are launching on the all the different LTD sites, right? I don't just post founders on AppSumo, but on PitchGround. I think PitchGround, this what you call it, SaaS Mantra, and a bunch of different sites as well. So I'm definitely there are tons of deals that's popping up every single day. So I'm definitely not able to put everyone onto my show. But of course, those who actually manage to come on my show are definitely, I feel that they they are ready to face the community. That's one thing, right? And being able to face the community, just kind of tells us that Anan yourself is very open to feedback so that you can continue to improve your product, right? So lastly, Corey also asked, where is the company located? So where's the company located? Is it
So
in
we're
yeah,
so we're a US company. We're a Delaware C corp, and but the entire team is remote. So India, Germany, and these are the two main places where our team is.
awesome, right? So you have a much more sort of a global team. You've got some employees that are working remotely in Germany as well as India,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And also, we have a question from Venkatesh, right? Venki here is asked, is possible to release the 2 hours training down and the improved timing version as an update? Pretty much kind of what I have in mind as well, is that maybe some of us would like to be able to pull our voices earlier, right? So is it possible to release the 2 hours version right now, and then when you have a improved version, maybe you can use the original data because we are feeding you with 2 hours, right? If you can do so in a 15-minute read up, right? And now I give you a 2 hours. I guess the voices will be even more realistic. I'm not sure. So maybe some of us who are more excited, maybe we could participate in this much earlier.
Mhm. So I'll tell you the problem with releasing that 2 hour feature, right, at scale. So let's assume even 1,000 users were to use that feature, the 2 hour training one. The costs would be extremely, extremely high because how the cost works with this AI training is the amount of time that it trains the data for you. Now, it's 2 hours per person for data, and there's 1,000 people training on the data. So that's like 2,000 hours. That's extremely expensive. That's gonna almost cost us $100,000 or something like that. So
I see.
uh, yeah, so it doesn't make sense to release it at the moment, but as soon as we reach that 30-minute mark, where all it needs is the 30 minutes of data, I think that's when it's going to make sense, and that's when the cost reduce as well. So the costs reduce like this, they reduce exponentially when the amount of data that you need reduces as well. So I think we could be able to release it a little early, but it seems kind of hard right now to
Okay.
put a time and date on it. Yeah.
Right. So Venki, right? So the answer is basically it's a cost effectiveness issue, right? Not about the cost, but I mean it's more about the being more cost effective. So I guess it's much better to wait for that to happen. I have one question as well. Is that have you spoken with uh, Inder, right? Inder Raj Singh, right? He's
Yeah.
from uh, Next Week.
Next week.
Have you all connected yet?
Yeah. We've connected actually. They wanted to integrate TTS into their platform as well, and we plan on making our API available, like a unified API. So basically, right now, if you wanted to use some sort of a TTS, you would have to use a different API for Google, different for Amazon, different for Microsoft, different for IBM. Now, what we do is we combine all these four into one, and we give you one API.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna do, and we're in talks. I think I'll probably catch up with him next week or tomorrow or something like that. Yeah, to talk to them.
Yeah. So because my question is that if whether we can actually clone our voices and have it sent to next week for voice personalization as well. I was wondering if that's actually possible, maybe in the future. Then it could sound like I'm actually in front of the camera and talking and actually reading out the person's name, and that would be really exciting and much more realistic. And I think people would feel um, a lot more impressed by it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's possible, but I mean, anything is possible in my opinion. So we will have to see how it exactly will work, and how accurate the voice cloning is going to be. That's like the hardest part to solve. But after that part is solved, I think it can be done definitely.
Awesome, right? Okay, so we got some questions here from Corey as well. So Corey, he asked, so listener allows us to write an article and it can convert it into a podcast or audio podcast for Spotify and your personal websites. Yes, Corey, that's what listener does. It can convert it into audio podcast. You can embed it on your website and it can distribute it to Spotify and other podcasting hosts as well, right? And is there anything else that it can do? So I guess I would answer this first, and maybe Anan could fill in if I missed out on anything. Would be there is a Chrome extension that you can make use of, that if you install the Chrome extension, you can go to some news sites or blogs, and you can actually click on the Chrome extension, and it will convert the article or the blog post into an audio format. So it's a productivity tool, right? So that you can be working on something else while you are reading and actually listening on something itself. Right. Did I miss that? Did I miss anything now? Maybe Anand could fill in.
All good, all good. I think you covered everything.
Awesome, right? So, is there any way that we can actually use it for even more productivity usage? I know that your focus is more on podcasting, but let's say with the Chrome extension, maybe it could work with Gmail, for example, and we could read have it read emails for us. Um, and any other maybe we can open up a PDF. Let's say we open up an ebook on PDF, and the Chrome extension could read the entire book for us. Is that possible? I mean, this is just some ideas that I have.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering.
So Gmail is possible. Gmail is definitely possible. The PDF part is actually super tricky because PDF does not allow you to select from the PDF. It does not allow you to read using some external bot or something. So what we do is we scrape the data, we put it to our TTS engine, and then we give you the audio. That's what happens. But with PDF, it can be super hard because PDF is considered to be a very secure document
Yeah.
versus like a
So
Word document or something.
you got to use like OCR and then put
Yeah,
it to PDF, right? So
exactly.
then you have to add another feature onto listener itself. So then
Yeah.
that it becomes a little bit more complex. How about maybe something like EPUB or Google? I guess Google Docs is already working, right? But how about maybe like EPUB or something like that?
One cool idea I just had is, let's say you have like a text piece of text on your, let's say a book or something. You take a picture of the book and we'll read the book to you in audio. So we use OCR in that way. We have. I also have some OCR experience from the past, and all you could do is like maybe your study notes or something like that. Just click a
Yeah.
picture of that and then listen to them.
Awesome. That sounds awesome, right? I mean, I don't think that there's any tools out there that does OCR with TTS yet. I'm not sure if there is, but that sounds like a great idea, right? I mean, with OCR, then I guess it could happen with the PDF as well.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
actually happen with PDF. So it's pretty
Yeah.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great option, right? I think that's a great idea. And I think one feature request also is with the Chrome extension is that are we able to select text and have it converted rather than have the Chrome extension detect the article itself and convert it. Maybe we just want to select a paragraph and have it read to us.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's also a good feature. That's also a request that we've gotten a lot. So we have it on our roadmap and everything. So that's not an issue. But I'll tell you, in order of priority, the features that we will be releasing is recording, editing, then monetization, and then the Chrome extension. So that will be the order of priority where we'll release the features.
Awesome. Okay. I think this would be great. I mean, if all these features are implemented, I think listener it's such a powerful tool because you don't just use it for podcasts, you use it for productivity, you use it for um, what else? Just a voiceover as well. I think that's really powerful, right? Um, and I think one I just thought of sort of a hack, right? Is that this I could when your voice cloning feature is out, and let's say I have a voice artist that I really like maybe on Fiverr or something,
Yeah,
I could send them the script and have them, hey, let me just pay you $30, right? Could you read this entire thing for me? And then I could grab that and then I could just put it into listener for voice
yeah,
cloning, and then I could just use this person's voice over and over again. I don't have to pay him every single time. Of course, it's not going to be as realistic as him or her speaking, but I could do something like that, right? I mean, it's sort of a hack, right?
yeah,
There's a funny term that's going around that I'm putting out. It's called growth hackler, right? Growth hackler. So
right.
we got some more questions that's coming in. So Corey asked, actually he says, I'm buying listener today, right? So Anan is just converted a customer right here, and I'm
Yeah,
sure Corey you'll be well taken care of. Anan is definitely working. He's putting out like updates every 2 weeks, but from what I'm seeing, and so Corey does have, his I think his major concern is definitely the African American voices. So he's saying that I hope these American voices come sooner than later. That is an untapped market. So I guess it is, right. I mean, there's a significant African American community, and I guess they could benefit from this as well. I'm not sure if the Google, Amazon, IBM voices would have any African American voices. If there are, maybe you could look into adding them to the repertoire itself as well. So Corey has a question also. If you don't use all the words, do we lose them? So I believe there's some what I call rollover, right?
rollover.
So but there's a limit to the rollover. Could you share with us?
Yeah. So let's assume you get 70,000 words each month, and you only end up using 30,000 of them. The leftover 40,000, you're going to move on to the next month. And the limit up to this is that we stop the rollover at 1 million words, which I feel like is necessary for the fair use policy that we have.
Okay, so that means even if I get a single quote, which is 75,000, right? And if I get four quotes, which is 400,000 words per month, I would only be able to store up to 1 million words
Yeah,
in terms of
that's correct.
credits.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so guys, right? So even if you don't if you don't need so much credits with Listener, even just getting a single code, and if you're not using it, all these credits are being stored and you have a million words whenever, once you're ready to make use of it, right? I mean, of course, 1 million is going to take you some time. Let me see, how many months will it take? It's going to take you about a year, right? Of more than a year of unused. That means you just leave listener right now. That means any of you who are live on the stream right now, you buy listener right now and you're not ready to use it, right? You wait a year, about 30 months, 40 months later, and when you open up your account, you suddenly realize that yes, 1 million credit that you can actually make use of, right? So there's no rush, right? If you buy today, there's no rush for you to start using it right now. Okay, so another comment from Corey here is all the words in the selected field we choose. Yes, so it's 1 million words, right? Regardless of any of the plans that you have, right? Whether it's a single quote, double quote, multiple quote, right? It will, the maximum that you can store in the credit is 1 million. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's something behind. Okay. So guys, I'm actually at home right now, right? So this is, let me see who's this comment from. Right, it's a cheeky comment. Let me see who's that. Okay, so Ken, right? So Ken, I'm actually in my room right now, and um I'm not in my office, right? So this is like my where my kid plays. So yeah. So thanks, Ken, for participating in the chat. So pretty much, do you have anything else that you would like to share with us, Anand, before we wrap up this session? I think it was a great session. It's a very
Yep.
casual. I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this right now are enjoying it, right? So, do you have anything else to share before we wrap this up?
Yeah. So all I want to say is that in the next few months, you'll see significant changes with Listener, and you'll be able to do everything inside Listener instead of using 4 or 5 different tools. So yeah, if you want to get on the train early, that's cool. Um, if not, then you're always welcome. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I think that minimally, right, people should be looking at trying to grab a single code for listener because if you feel that you may require TTS features or podcasting features or maybe some productivity features, even if you're not ready to use it, it's going to roll over and you're going to keep those credits for yourself, and when you're ready you can start expanding those credits. So it's sort of like a 1 year savings plan for you.
Yeah,
Right, and I think that's all I have, right? Anan, I hope you have a successful AppSumo launch, right? Your deal was live yesterday, and I think there's a lot of hoo-ha about your deal that's already ongoing, and I
yeah,
hope that continues, right? Because if there are haters, there are people who like you as well. Those There are people who love you, and I think TJ is one of them, right?
yeah,
And yeah, so I think I hope not just the good comments come in, but the critical comments do continue to roll in as well, so that you get more notice, and you get more um, people joining your LTD as well, right? So
yeah.
Corey says, just purchase thanks to this live, right? You're welcome, Corey. I hope that this live has given you some insights of listener. And that's all I have. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye. And thanks, Alan, for being on the show. Maybe we could have you come back in the future as well. Bye bye.
Definitely. Thanks, Andrew. Catch you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.